feels like that. Winter arrived. Hello, Dwight. Dwight. You like snow, you don't you? You proper like snow. So, Mrs. M is going to Europe today. I've got to drop her off at the ferry, and I'm going to take this because it's 4-wheel drive. It's got big knobbly tyres. So let's get it. Let's get all the snow cleaned off it. And get it ready. Get it ready. You see, in Canada, this is clever. This is clever. The Canadians are clever people. Because in Canada, you leave the back open, so the back fills with snow, because it makes it heavier in the back and grippier. Get it warmed up. I do like when the snow comes because it looks pretty. When it first comes down, everybody's shitty garden looks the same, doesn't it? That'll do the job. Certainly won't be taking this out today. I mean, this is all wheel drive, but Mrs. M's fancy AMG. Ooh. Mrs. M loves her AMG. I wouldn't even dare take that out in this. She'd beat me with a stick if I crashed it.
So try not to fall. Is it 1 degree?
Yep. So, Mrs. M has now headed off to Europe. Left me in control. It was a dangerous thing to do. 2 weeks. Left me to my own devices. It's always a bad idea. She's Mrs. M doesn't stand for Maxfield. It's motivator. Mrs. M is Mrs. Motivator. Because frankly, when she's away, not a lot gets done. I'm not idle. I'm a good worker. Honestly, I am. And when Mrs. M's watching this from Paris, Mrs. M, I'm working really, really hard. One or two people have actually asked about where we live, the house that we currently live in. Incidentally, she works abroad a lot. She works in Europe a lot, which is, I guess, one of the reasons why we're selling up and moving to France. But some people have asked about the house that we're leaving behind, and so I might just take this as an opportunity just to show one or two small features. I'm not going to show you the whole house because it would take forever. You can hear the dogs in the background there having a play. They absolutely love the snow. This is Chez Moi. I think that's right, Chez Moi. This is our little house here in Canada. It's not so little, it looks quite small, but actually this property is about, it's nearly 4,000 square foot is this house. And when we first came, it didn't look like that. Not a bit like that. We couldn't increase the footprint of this property. We weren't allowed to. And so, in an effort to increase the size, we decided that we would go up and not out. And I built that upper extension. When I say we couldn't build out, we couldn't increase the footprint because the local building regulations department wouldn't allow it, because this house is built on the edge of a banking. You can see that it goes all the way down there. We're about 3 acres. And in the bottom there's a stream, a creek. And you can see that we run quite close. This is in fact the back of the house. And there's a lot of it. So all that upper section with the cedar is all brand new. When it was built originally, this house, I think it was just a 1 floor property. And we decided that we wanted a bit more space, and so we built up. I mean, we did it all right. We got all the permits, we got architects involved. We had to make sure that the foundations, which are enormous, the foundations are absolutely enormous. We had to make sure that they were right and could support that extra weight. Although frankly, there probably isn't a lot more weight up there. In real terms, we raised the roof. And of course we built a hot tub. So I mentioned that I'm not very good with heights. And in fact I'm terrible. I'm not good on the ladder. It's not my natural environment. And I had to overcome quite a lot of fears. Obviously working up there. I mean, it's not mega high, but I mean, if I fell off it, it might hurt. But so I had to really dig deep. And it reminds me of a story which I like to tell. Mrs. M is probably not one of the most sympathetic individuals I think I've ever met. And I remember one time, we used to own a house in the UK. It was called Banquet House, was this house. And I'm going to Google it. I'll let you Google it. I'll put a link in the description, because it was back in 1970. It was the owners of that house then organised a folk and rock festival in the UK. A one-only deal. It was a one-shot deal. It lost the people something like £30,000 at that time. It was a lot of money because it was a complete washout. But it was called the Crumlin Folk and Rock Festival. I mean, it had some big names. It had The Who, Elton John, who else? Quite a few. To be honest with you, I can't remember. I will, as I'm struggling to find the names, I'll have the names of the bands scrolling across the bottom of the... What you can do with this is amazing. But anyway, I was working on this place. I was actually cleaning out gutters, and I was atop a ladder, and I had this ladder on some it was like some paving slabs, and the paving slabs were a bit greasy, and the bottom of the ladder fell out. I was on top of this ladder. I was on top of a ladder with a bucket of water because I was cleaning these gutters inside. A bit too much, really, I suppose, but I was cleaning these gutters. The bottom of the ladder, if you can imagine, the bottom of the ladder slipped out. So if the house is here, ladder slipped out. I went down, plummeted down. My legs went through the rungs of the ladder. I fell over backwards. The bucket of water that I was holding fell over the top of me. I was completely drenched, flailing, because I was stuck on this ladder. Mrs. M was inside. She came rushing out to see what all the commotion and the noise was. Saw me hanging upside down on this ladder, wet through because the bucket of water had gone all over me, and she was laughing. She was laughing. I could have been permanently injured. I was scarred. I realised, I mean, that was fairly early on in our marriage, I've got to be honest with you, I realised that there was no quarter given with this woman. On reflection, it was probably very funny. So yeah, that there is the side of the house. Of course, it extends all the way through to the front. Part of the renovation included building a 5,000 gallon water storage tank. So this, we have two wells on the property. The utilities, they're not good with preserving water in this part of the world, and usually come summer there are restrictions. So people can't wash cars or water lawns or do any of that kind of stuff. And so because we have two wells here, we have one, that's the well head on one, and the other one is behind the side of these trees. We store it. It is a great system. 5,000 gallons in there. There are heaters in there as well to keep it from freezing during winter, which is always useful. So that seems to work very well. And especially if ultimately the new owners of this property decide that they want to rent out that building down there, which is also part. There's the workshop down there. There is a 2-bedroom department down there, which I will show later. And there is a downstairs suite. So whoever, if they decide they want to rent this property, they can. They know they're not going to run out of water. So yeah, that's chez moi. Said it again, didn't I? I'm getting good at this French. And as I said, it didn't look anything like that when we bought it. It was quite grim. So how about this for a contrast in climates across the world? We, Mrs. M and I have been following for quite a while now a channel, Escape to France, the Charente, with Rob and Lisa and their kids, and it's. I watched Rob's video. Happy birthday, by the way, Rob. I was watching Rob's video today, and he's wandering around outside in a t-shirt. His This is about 12 degrees, right? 12 degrees. Now we're moving to France, obviously, and we're with our favourite chateau is in the Charente. And I watched Rob this morning and he's in his t-shirt. It's Monday morning. Look what I've got. Yeah. Thanks, Rob. Damn, I'm jealous. So when I mentioned earlier about the banquet house that we had and the rock festival, it reminds me of another tale of the house. We renovated that property because when we bought it, it was a bit grim. And I remember one of the bedrooms upstairs, we decided to sand all the floorboards. We hired the big floor sanders, the big belt sanders. And when you hire those, they come with a little orbital sander for doing the edges. And Mrs. M was doing the little orbital sander around the edges. I was doing the big belt sander up and down because, you know, ooh-ah. And I remember I had my back to Mrs. M and she was working on the back wall that was by a radiator, and I was doing one transition down this floor trying to keep it, and all of a sudden I was getting wet. I was inside. I was inside the house and I was getting wet, and I turned around and Mrs. M had sanded through one of the radiator pipes. It was under pressure. It was spraying water all over the room. It's fairly safe to say that I have never let her forget that. It was hilarious. She was devastated. She was gutted. Caught her out. Caught you out. You're not perfect. You're perfect for me. So the front of this house, the whole of the front of this house, like I say, it wasn't like that when we bought it. We you can see there pictures of how it used to look. So it's grim. So all the cedar shingles on the top section were renewed. And as you can see, I added a few little details on there which I think are quite nice, which completely go unnoticed. If you can see the little diamond patterns, ridiculous amount of work involved in doing those little diamond patterns, but it's just the subtle things I think that just add a nice little touch. Yeah. Renewed all the siding and painted it black stain. We seriously love this house. Seriously love this house. You can see there another diamond pattern, so matching diamond patterns. And of course, when I renewed all the interior, I set about renewing all the insulation, so it's absolutely toasty warm. I guess it needs to be on a day like this. Yeah, it's pretty. Snow's wonderful. I'm not a huge fan of snow. I've been, we've skied quite a bit, although it's quite hard to get to the slopes from where we are because of the ferry here. But I've skied quite a lot since we came. I'm not brilliant. She's great. I'm not. I'm a bit of a liability on the slopes. I took some lessons when we first came here, and the instructor told me to either slow down or buy a helmet. I told him not to worry, I can use small children to slow me down. He didn't think that was funny. I thought it was hilarious. I wonder what, so if I'd use small children as an anchor. Oh look, you can't beat a shitting dog. Anyway, there you go. Okay, so that's all for now. In the next video, of course, I'll give you a bit of a guided tour of inside. But you kind of get the feel for where we're at on the outside of this property. I might even take you down to the coach house down at the bottom there and show you around. But for now, if you've enjoyed my little tour, give us a like and subscribe. And I will leave you with what I think is likely to be the money shot. Because when the snow falls and night time descends, Mrs. M and I decided that we were going to light this property. And when we switch the lights on, well, give me a comment. Tell me what you think. Do you think it looks nice at night in the snow? You tell me. Thank you, and I'll catch you later. It's 6 p.m. and as you can tell, it's dark. And the sun has gone down. The snow's just about stopped, but there's a chill. I've just done a workout, that's why I'm panting a little bit, but it is truly, truly beautiful. And let me show you the house that we're leaving behind. Yeah. It is kind of magical. Let me know what you think. Catch you next time.